Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I hope we're here to explore a fantastic adventure. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but we will certainly. I guess we'll start with who I am. My name is Jeremy Gage. I am one of the directors over on Roll to Forge. You've probably seen me on our Band of Blades campaign, or our Blades in the Dark campaign, or when I co-op with my beautiful partner, Miss Grace McConnell. So I have decided that I want to try and do something solo, and something I've been thinking about for a little while is to repurpose D&D adventures and do them in the Ironlands setting, mainly because I feel that the quote-unquote fantasy level of the Ironlands can sort of mesh with D&D style adventures, minus the extreme magics here and there. So for those of you who are unaware, Ironsworn is a game written by Sean Tompkins that features a sort of third generation apocalypse world rule set where fictional positioning moves are used rather than specific tactical abilities, such as if you're familiar with D&D and coming from that game, we don't have things like feet measurement or number of targets or 15-foot cones. It's more, I am in position to strike an opponent and I will use this move to execute that. So, the first adventure that I think I'm going to do, I'm probably just going to go in order of released adventures from D&D 5e. I have most of them in booklet form. The first one that we will be running is the Tyranny of Dragon set. That is the Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. Now here are some rules that we have for this. Over the course of this, I will try to include key NPCs or locations just in Ironlands forms, and these adventures will also help decide our personal background vow and inciting incidents, but you'll learn about all that as we go over making a character. But before we make a character, we have to decide what kind of world we're playing in, how that will facilitate the adventure. So let me see here. So up here, I have a good old Google Docs page here, sort of with the default assumptions of the Ironlands setting. And then you will also see I have some decisions to make about the setting in terms of categories. The book provides you with 3 different options you can pick from, or you can make up your own. I have done this a couple of times already, and I know there are some things that we're going to have to kind of make up on our own for this, but a real quick expenditure of Ironlands. So the Ironlands are kind of a Scandinavian coated winter, I don't want to say wasteland, but the terrain is tough. It's rugged. Well, I'll just explain it. So 2 generations ago, your people were driven to the Ironlands from their former homes in the Old World. The weather here is harsh, winters are brutal, the rugged terrain makes travel and trade difficult and dangerous. There are no thriving cities. Instead, Ironlanders live in isolated villages or steadings. Their homes are modest buildings of wood, stone, and thatch. Many areas of the Ironlands are unexplored and uninhibited except by the firstborn, beings such as elves, giants, and the wolf-like Varu, and also trolls. Coins have little value here. Most commerce is made through barter and favors. Some communities remain isolated and independent, while others trade in basic goods such as iron, grain, wood, livestock, wool, and coal. There is a diverse mix of peoples and cultures with the Ironlands, even within a single community. You can envision your character and those you interact with however you like, unbound by considerations of geography, lineage, sexual orientation, and gender. Communities sometimes band together under a powerful leader, but there are no kingdoms. Territorial lines are sketchily drawn, if at all. Large-scale warfare is unheard of, but raiding parties and skirmishes between communities are a constant menace. Some communities subsist entirely on raiding. Spear, axe, shield, and bow are dominant weapons. Swords are rare and highly prized. Some warriors choose to wade into battle clad in iron, while others trust in their prowess or in the strength of their shields. Magic is subtle and mysterious. Mystics seek to ward away the darkness through the practice of magic, but often succumb to it. Rituals are performed as blessings and to gain insight. Supernatural creatures and beasts are rare, frightening, and dangerous. So those are sort of the default assumptions of the setting. So before we get into crafting a character, first we must do some Ironsworn truths. Whoops. So I don't exactly know what this final organization is going to look like, but I decided that if I kept thinking about it, I was never going to do it. So I'm here to just do the dang thing. So the old world, this determines, like you heard in the kind of default assumptions of the sitting, we are the third generation of the Ironlanders. And that means we have to decide what our old world was like. The first option, the savage clans called the Skald invaded the kingdoms of the old world. Our armies fell, most were killed and taken into slavery. Those who escaped set sail aboard anything that would float. After an arduous months-long voyage, the survivors made landfall upon the Ironlands. So this is basically saying that, you know, we were invaded and basically kicked off of our home turf, and we had to find somewhere else to leave because we didn't have the numbers. The second was, you can pause the video and read these at any point. I don't think I want to spend too much. You've heard us do this on our, or if you haven't, you've heard us do this on our co-op version with me and Grace. And you can watch those videos as well. But I'm just going to kind of skim through these. And if at any point you really want to give them a delve, read, feel free to pause the video and read them. So it's either we got kicked off because of other people, we got kicked off because of sickness, or we got kicked off due to irresponsibility of not managing our resources and kind of having to find a fresh start. I think that I am going to do the sickness one. Just gonna let that paste over here. Give this a heading 2 there. So the reason I've picked this one is because for the Horde of the for the Tyranny of Dragons, I have kind of idea of what I want kind of to add to this, which might be interesting. So it's going to be a disease, and I am going to call it the Iron Menace poison. It's a sickness that it's kind of like a petrification. It's a sickness that petrifies and turns the exposed into metal, into a metallic statue. So we're gonna bold this. This is a keyword for us later. That name may change, I don't know. Loosey-goosey. Iron. So this is about how important or mythical iron is in our setting. I think I'm gonna make up this one. So there are no like dragons or anything like that in this, but there are wyverns, and in Ironsworn 12 there's this thing called the Iron Wyvern, and I think I want to do something off of that and kind of bridge that between Horde of the Dragon Queen and D&D 5e, or I'm sorry, Ironsworn. So iron, Give that a good old heading to. And I want this to be, there are ancient iron beasts mentioned in hidden text and oral story. And I think that might have something to do with the sickness. Maybe like kind of a radiation type thing. So ancient iron beasts. Specifically, this story will focus on the Wyvern portion of that. While there are other so iron being the most powerful, but there may be something like a silver beast or a gold beast, you know, like a gold boar, silver hawk, or something like that. We're pretty much gonna riff off the metallic dragons in D&D 5e, so the bronze, gold, silver, brass, and don't help me. Can't remember, but I'll remember eventually. Next up is legacies. So this pretty much decides if there are people here before us. I would like to think there are, especially because of the disease. So it could have been like a staggered sort of leaving, someone who had the foresight to go before us. So I'm going to do other humans. For the broken. Next, communities. How do we organize ourselves? I'm definitely, for this one, going to do circles. Specifically, there are going to be, I think there are going to be 5 tribes of Wyvern riders or Wyvern tamers. That hold power in different regions. This is kind of doing a callback to the 5 different types of dragons, both are colored and metallic, and that sort of in Rise of Tiamat, one of the requirements of summoning Tiamat is collecting all of the dragon masks. So in some way we have to have that, so that 5 is our golden number here. I'm gonna look up the metallic dragons real quick in my good old monster manual. Ugh. Quick back at the book. Copper. Copper was the one I was thinking of. So I'm gonna write down copper, brass, silver, bronze, and gold. All right, so that's our communities. Next up, leaders. So I think that I think it's a numerous clan chiefs situation for this one. That's literally true. I think their Skullwings will definitely be our undoing. I'm going to put this quest starter in here just because I think it could be applicable to the story I would like to attempt to tell you all today here. Defense. So the next section is defense, talking about how we defend ourselves and the lands. I think this is very much a war bands situation, sort of like the most version of an organized military we can have. And I think that each of these I think specifically each region, because of the leaders and because of the defense, the different Wyvern trainers act as military for this. Mysticism. So we're going to be playing with artifacts and objects of power. So I think that magic is going to be rare and dangerous. But those few who wield the power are truly gifted. We might be one of those people. We might not. Don't know yet. Religion. So it just decides how intense, like what lever we want to pull on no gods, little gods, all the gods, as far as how it gets involved. I don't think this is I think there's a no gods situation here, especially with the beast tribes. If anything, they might revere the iron beasts as deities. Firstborn. I want to add so this decides how much we want to be involved with other races or other species in our game. I think that the Firstborn are legends. I want this to be kind of a human-centric game. We might do it in another adventure, but for this one, I think we are just chill with the human life. Beasts. Beasts of all sort. So I'll kind of do a quick recap once we get kind of speed line through this of the selections I've made here. Oops. Horrors. I don't think this is gonna be any sort of ghosts. Maybe we'll do the secondary one as a way to create danger in between the areas that may not be beast ridden. So other notes. I'm going to do a quick recap and then we'll get back to other notes. So our Ironsworn troops. The old world. The sickness moved like a horrible wave across the old world, killing all in its path. Thousands fled aboard ships. However, the plague could not be outrun. On many ships, the disease was contained through ruthless measures, tossing overboard any who exhibited the slightest symptom. Other ships were forever lost. In the end, those who survived found the Ironlands and made it their new home. Some say we will forever be cursed by those we left behind. And specifically, our disease is called the Iron Menace. It's a sickness that petrifies and turns the exposed into a metallic statue. Iron. There are ancient iron beasts mentioned in hidden text and oral story. They warp the very landscape around them, or so it is told. While there are other metallic natures, iron is the most powerful. Legacies. Other humans sailed here from the old world untold years ago, but all that is left of them is a savage, feral people we call the Broken. Is their fate to become our own? I think that we also add here that these are... The Broken are those who have succumbed to the Iron Menace but have not passed on, instead turned insane. So maybe they're like some metallic, semi-sentient being. Communities. We live in communities called circles. These are settlements ranging in size from a setting with a few families to a village of several hundred. Some circles belong to nomadic folk. Some powerful circles might include clusters of settlements. We trade and sometimes feud with other circles. The biggest are 5 tribes of wyvern tamers that hold power in different areas: copper, brass, silver, bronze, and gold. Leaders. Numerous clan chiefs rule over petty domains. Most are intent on becoming the one true king. Their squabbles will be our undoing. I think in the story there will be something that says that as the leaders try to wage war on being the next Iron Rider or something to that effect, it will help a darker narrative take place under sort of that world conflict. We're a little quest starter here. You secretly possess 1/2 of the true crown, an old world relic. Centuries ago, this crown was broken in 2 when an assassin's axe split the head of the supreme ruler. You are descendant from that lineage. Who gave you this relic? Will you find the other half of the broken crown and attempt to unite the clans under your rule, or do you see another use for it? So it definitely seems like I'd like to unite our peoples. Maybe there's a status kind of conflict here. And instead of 1/2 of the true crown, let's see. It can't be masks. I don't want to carry like 5 masks on me at some point. I don't have a bag of holding to use. Let's see, what could I use? I think that I am going to go with It's got to be 5 of something. I think it's like a broken something, as with the crown, but maybe ooh, you know what? What if it's like a oh, what if it's pieces to the skull? Yeah. You secretly possess 1 of 5 pieces of an iron skull. An old world relic. No, a new world relic. Centuries ago, this crown was broken. I'm not quite sure of this origin. You're unsure of its origin. You can feel. As all D&D adventures would have you believe, you have a great destiny. You are descended from that lineage. Who gave you this relic? We don't know yet, but we will roll on some tables for that soon. You will find the other half of the Will you search for the other pieces? Whoops. I think that is going to be very cool. I like the sound of that. I think something about forming that skull could trigger the awakening of the Iron Wyvern or something to that effect. Defense. Our warbands are rallied to strike at our enemies and defend our holdings. Though not nearly as impressive as the armies that once marched across the old world, these forces are as well trained and equipped as their communities can manage. The banners of the warbands are adorned with depictions of their old world history and Ironland victories. Specifically, Wyvern trainers act as military. So I think that it is probably going to snatch some stuff. I think Monster Hunter. I think some sort of like Beast Tamer, Monster Hunter type shindig is going on here. Magic is rare and dangerous, but those few who wield the power are truly gifted. Most spells are long and powerful rituals with unknown effects. If I put this up on podcast, I'm typing as I'm talking, just to fill the space. So, religion, don't really want this to be a God's game by any means. I think mostly people worship the tales of ancient heroes and the iron beasts that struggle in history. So it's stuff like the Iron Boar, the Iron Wyvern, the Iron Wolf, all those sorts of things. And then Cloud Baronkoff, the Slayer of the Iron Boar, Baron von Cripsey, who fended off the Iron Basilisk or something like that. I think that'd be very cool. Firstborn, don't really want them in the game. They're just an ancient memory, but maybe there's some structures left behind of them. Or not at all. Could be all man-made. I think that giants are gonna be a thing. I think if any of them, they're dragon strongholds for like, because I imagine these iron beasts are large mythical proportion creatures, especially for the epicness that Tiamat is. Excuse me. Beasts of all sorts roam the Ironlands. They dwell primarily in the reaches, but range into the settled lands to hunt. There, they often prey on cattle, but attacks on travelers' caravans and even settlements are not uncommon. Most of these aggressive creatures have been turned by the Iron Menace and have evolved. Horrors. We are wary of dark forests and deep waterways, for monsters lurk in those places. In the depths of the long night, when all is wreathed in darkness, only fools venture beyond their homes. I think there's something to be said for maybe like iron graveyards, or more like metallic beast graveyards. Giant undead, maybe that'd be cool. I think the full moon is a big issue. All right, other notes, things we need for from Tyranny of Dragons. Some of the baggage that comes with using that adventure. One, there is a cult that is attempting to summon Tiamat. Iron Wyvern. You need 5 pieces to summon the Iron Beast. Let's see. A hierarchy is of those that have trained metallic wyverns. I think that's all we really need from there, to because we kind of have a way to start our quest and what our background vow is. So yeah, that's kind of our world right now. Kind of blew through that. Next, we are going to make our character. So I'm going to go into the stream device here real quick and close that. I'm going to bring up the old Ironsworn rule book and let's make a character, shall we? So what do I envision? I envision some sort. Well, actually, let's roll some tables. So get rid of that. We're gonna scroll down here. We're gonna go to oracles. Let's find out what my role in society was before I decided to uphold this quest. I can actually do this on the character sheet. So, in Ironsworn, there are a bunch of Oracle stables. This is how it functions as a solo/co-op game. You can also run this as a GM game, but it facilitates a lot of prompts for you to invent your own narrative as you go along. So, we're going to go to character role. And I'm gonna open the chat window over here. I was gonna use real dice, but I have enough cameras, so I'm gonna settle for the chat window in Roll20. So roll character role. Great adventurer. So we know that my character is an adventurer. I'm gonna write that in notes somewhere. Boom. I was already an adventurer. Let's see. Then, am I a part of any of these clans, of these Wyvern Tamers? So we're going to give this a 50-50. Actually, I'm going to give it an unlikely. So Ask the Oracle is where you decide how certain something is, and then you give that a % chance, and then you roll the dice. So I'm going to say it's unlikely that we are a part of these clans. And we are not. It's not part of the Wyvern clan. So I have an outside bystander. Let's try and find a name that usually helps me kind of envision a character. Character names, Islander name. Thaman, or we could reverse it and do Kodrith. Themon. I'm going to do one more. I don't know if I love it. Tessa. Saskia. Sasuke! Caldus. I like Caldus. I like Caldus a lot. I rolled a couple times because it's my character, and I want to like the name. So, sue me. Let's see. Do I have a last name? Let's see. Caldus. Basira? Yeah, Caldus Basira. I'll take it. Caldus Balsira, adventurer extraordinaire. All right. So for Ironsworn, decide on a name. We have to decide on our stats. So we get 1, 3, 2 2s, and 2 1s. I'm an adventurer, so I think my iron is going to be relatively high. I think my edge is also going to be high. I don't think I want to be like a liar or a sneaky person, so I'm going to leave my shadows 1, and I'm going to make my heart and wits 2. So, whoops, no. You know what? I think that oh, you know what? There's a table I can roll. Oracles. I can't find it right off the bat, so I am... Oh, maybe it's in here. Format. Nope, not in here. All right. Shoot, I don't know. I always like melee. You know what? I'll make both these two. I'm gonna have high wits. I think I'm a kind of smart guy. So that's that. Then our health and spirit and supply are all set. Momentum set. Our background vow. This is gonna be discover the secret of the Iron Skull. And we're gonna give this extreme. We'll decide on what our inciting incident is in just a moment. Bonds. We need to decide who gave us a piece of this skull. So we're gonna go to Oracle. Actually, we're gonna use one of the names that we already rolled up, and I'm gonna do Tessa. We need to decide where I'm from. So we're gonna go to Oracles. We're gonna go to Region. And we're gonna roll that ish. The Veiled Mountains sounds appropriate. It's probably where the majority of the adventure is going to take place. I like the imagination of wyverns kind of flying around the mountains and some other like non-winged wyverns. I think I'm gonna rip some like 5 monsters from Monster Hunter and kind of use those as a guideline. So location, Veiled Mountains. Then we are going to go to descriptors. I always do 3 just because it kind of creates a specific kind of character. Insensitive, dangerous, and stern. Tessa gave Kaldos skull as a means of maybe I am like a sealer, like one of my magics are to seal or unseal forbidden rituals, some sort of sealing ritual. Means of safeguarding piece of a ritual that could release So I think Kaldos is unaware of why Tessa gave him the skull, other as a means of responsibility. But it's something that he's always had. Probably not for his entire life. I imagine he's like 24, 25 or something to that effect. So the game lets us start with 3 bonds, and Tessa is our first one. We need another bond. I want it to be to a place. Excuse me. Place of description and detail. Oh, that's for a site name. We're not going to do that. Oracles, locations, settlement name, quick settlement name. Oh, ooh, Blackhaven. Hell yeah. So bonds, add Blackhaven. So also in the Veiled Mountains. I imagine maybe like near some sort of volcano. So the tunnels are very like basalt obsidian. We need some settlement descriptors. Same thing, gonna do 3. Remote, barren, and occupied. That doesn't work. Barren. Maybe barren of food. So remote, barren, occupied. Occupied by us, occupied by someone else, and maybe that's our settlement issue. Inability to have farmland. I think we probably survive mainly off of raiding. Maybe like our community attacks travelers. Need one more bond. What else are we writing our truths here? I guess whatever that order is, right? So whatever the order of ritual sealers. Let's see, delve oracles. Zealous cult. Kind of want a name, but I don't know what. Order of the something something. Let's just kind of make this one up. So, order of the binders. I think there are multiple in the Ironlands. Let's do oracles like it's a person. Dangerous, agreeable, and sociable. So maybe they have like very radical ideas, or people think they're crazy for upholding these ancient rituals, this now 3 generation, maybe 4 generation from the Broken's traditions. Order of the Ironbound, I think, is very cool and on theme. So dangerous, agreeable, and sociable. If only I could spell. Sociable. An order dedicated to upholding the Edict of watching the resting beasts. Many iron beasts fading to memory. So an order dedicated to upholding the edict of watching the resting places of the iron beasts. Many do not care for their practices due to the iron beast fading to memory. So as time goes on, people are questioning whether the order of the Ironbound are needed or not, and view their techniques or practices as dangerous, but they keep such a charismatic profile in most communities that they're not really besmirched too often. So those are our 3 bonds. Excuse me. Character sheet. Mark this with 3. So the reason I did extreme is because I want to do this over the course of maybe 10 episodes or so, kind of keep it like an HBO show, essentially, an hour each. So hopefully we get a milestone or so in each one, or 2, a milestone or 2, and that would give us completion on the full quest, which might change over the course of play. So now we need to find out what our Blackhaven trouble is. So oracles. Where is settlement trouble? Someone is captured. I think we have to rescue Tessa because that's the only person that matters, right? So we go back to the character sheet. Our inciting incident is rescue Tessa. We're going to give this dangerous. I'm a single person, maybe formidable. And I think it would make sense because we talk about this cult. Maybe the cult has captured her. And we'll just kind of like, we're nearing the end of the hour here. So I think we just kind of are going to set up where we're going to start. And then we will dive in on the next one. So let's see. So we're going to do a format, place of namesakes detail. So place namesakes detail. So the site is called Underkeep of Aurvang's Iron. Oh, it couldn't be. I can't make this stuff up. Can't make it up. Rescue Tessa. We're going to do a quick roll on the themes and domain. The theme is haunted. The domain is a mine. I love it. So site, the theme is haunted. And the domain is mine. We're going to probably put... I want to fill this in with some monsters from the book. So I think that this is going to be a very Wyvern-centric game. I'm thinking that... Let's see, let's go to the Veiled Mountains. and see what kind of landscape it is. That will help us decide. So, Veiled Mountains features massive peaks shrouded in rolling clouds, howling beasts, endless snows, precarious mountain trails, stone cairns marking the dead, abandoned settlements, circling wyverns. Perfect. Commonly referred to as the Vales, these great mountains mark the northern bounds of the settled lands. They are almost perpetually shrouded in cloud, snow, and mist. On the rare day they are visible to those Ironlanders far south in the Havens, the sight of the towering peaks is enough to inspire a mix of fear and awe. For a few, that feeling is a call rather than a warning. The Ironlanders who dwell here are mostly members of small mining communities. They seek fortunes in iron or silver, but often find only death in the endless brutal cold. Even those who manage to eke out some sort of life among the Vales are sure to head south before the onset of winter, before the long dark takes hold. And then there's a quest starter here. As winter fast approaches, there is no sign of the Ironlanders who live in a small mining community on the flanks of the Vales. They should have been off the mountain weeks ago. Time is running out. So we look at I think either the Monster Manual or Xanathar's breaks down by place, by like environment. Stand by. Where is the Druid page? Here we are. So let's see, is there a mountain one? Yes, there is. So let's see. We're gonna put like giant hawk. I guess not giant hawk. We'll do like a lion. We'll do lion again. We'll do goat. Actually, it wouldn't make sense, so we'll do more goats than lions for sure. We can do let's do sturges. Those are some fun D&D creatures. We're gonna do saber-toothed tiger, I think fits here. Maybe if we end up outside, we can do like a giant hawk. We will do cult member. In the first set of the adventure, there's Dragonborn that involved in this, but maybe we run into a Wyvern Rider. We'll give that person a name at some point. And unforeseen, something crazy that would be in the mountains. Oh shoot, what are those called? Actually, we'll put some broken in the mines. I think that works. Ooh, a harrow spider could be cool. We'll do that instead. Harrow spider. These are actually called the Iron Revenant. Cult member. Unforeseen, something nutsos. You know what, a giant. We're gonna do a giant. That is bueno. Underkeep of Arvang's Iron. You know what, I think we're gonna make this giant Arvang. Arvang the giant. Cool. 66666, nice. So we'll roll up some details on that. We want to make sure everything's checked here. So we have our bonds, we have our big quest, and then we have our starting augur bind. First one, of course. Whenever you wear an animal pelt and dance in the moonlight. Wolf edge bear, if the wearer rolls 1 on their action dice. But the wild. Endure stress. No, I don't think bind is the one. Visage? No. Augur? No. Awakening? Surroundings. I think we'll do invoke for 1. Now I did give myself some combat abilities, so what kind of weapon does a caster use? Field dagger or knife? Sacrificial dagger? Oh, a staff, for sure, of course. In your hands, a humble staff is a deadly weapon. Skirmisher. Oh, wait. I'll totally do that. Yeah, Berserker. Alright, so I am a ritualist with the Berserker combat, and I have the ritual invoke. Alright, that is Kaldos Basira. So we will join each other at a later date and play the first session of our adventure. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you had fun hanging with me and watching my process as I work, and hopefully you enjoy the show to come. So see you next time, and bye-bye. Have a good night.